Welcome, and thanks for joining us. In this video, we'll focus on CFUs, or Check for Understandings, and specifically learn all about Zoom annotations. After watching this video, you'll be able to facilitate Zoom annotations with your students to check for understanding. At Girls Who Code, we often do Check for Understandings, or CFUs, throughout our lesson to see how our students are doing with the content you're teaching. In this video, we'll discuss how to use annotations for a CFU. Let's dive in. First, make sure you're signed into your Okta account and launch Zoom. If you are unsure on how to get to Okta, please refer to our How to Utilize Okta tutorial video. When you do, you will see a welcome window like this. We'll select New Meeting to model this for you, but you can use annotations in any Zoom meeting that you join from HQ. In order to use Zoom annotations, the students need a screen to annotate on. From your Zoom toolbar, select the Share Screen button. Then, you can select your lesson slides, your Replit project page, or a blank whiteboard. We'll model with all three today, but let's choose our lesson slides first. Okay, let's say we are in the middle of a lesson on CSS selectors. In your first slide, you are introducing style rules and the different parts of a declaration block. You notice that your students have been struggling with the language for selectors versus properties. You decide in the moment to create a second slide and enlarge the code snippet on it. You ask students to place a dot next to the selectors on the slide and a circle around the property names using the annotation tool. From the top toolbar, students will open their View Options menu, select Annotate, and choose the Draw feature to place their dots on the slide. They might also decide to use the Stamp feature. From here, you can quickly assess if students understand which parts of the code are the selectors, and if not, reteach the concept in that moment. You may have also pre-thought of this question with your teaching team before the lesson began, and place this slide in your slide deck prior to getting started. Lastly, if this is your first time using Zoom annotations in class, you may want to use an instruction slide like this one to model how students will find the annotations on their toolbar. When you are ready to move on to the next slide, click on the trash can to clear any annotations on the screen. Let's move on to example 2, using annotations in your Replit project during a code-along. From your Share Screen options, select your Internet Browser tab with your Replit project page open. Maybe at this point in your lesson, you are doing a code-along and are already sharing your screen with your Replit project page. Instead of doing all the coding here yourself, you may pause and ask students to annotate on the slide where you should place your H1 header, like so. Or maybe you forgot your closing tag. And you ask students to underline on the slide where that would go. There are lots of different options here. Our last example we want to discuss here today is using Zoom annotations with a whiteboard. From your Share Screen options, select the whiteboard. Now you might decide to use the whiteboard during, let's say, student hours to check how the student is visualizing their web page and specifically talking about maybe the border radius. The student draws the shape of the border that they'd like the images on their Activist Toolkit project to look like. And you notice that they should really be using a border radius of around 15% to have just slightly rounded edges like they drew. You can also note that Zoom saves your whiteboard drawings after you close them out, and this tool could be used in other ways, such as Zoom breakout rooms with brainstorming between 3 to 4 students. So let's review. In this video, we discussed how you can do a quick check for understanding using the Zoom Annotate tool in 3 different ways: on your lesson slides, on your shared Replit screen, and on a whiteboard. Thanks for watching, and please reach out to Girls Who Code if you have any follow-up questions.